buttercup, you're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall, won't stop till I get enough.
All right, let's jump right into this deep dive. It's a legal battle that's really shaking up the music industry. We're looking at a woman accusing Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs of rape, and this goes way back to 2000 when she was just 13. We're basing this deep dive on an Associated Press article that details the judge's decision to allow the woman to remain anonymous for the time being.
What I find particularly interesting is that this anonymity isn't a guarantee. It's a delicate balance between shielding the plaintiff's privacy, especially given how young she was at the time of the alleged assault, and ensuring Jay-Z and Diddy get a fair chance to defend themselves.
Yeah, it's like the judge is walking a tightrope.
Yeah.
Trying to keep everything balanced. So let's go back to the accusations themselves for a moment. The woman says this all happened at an after party for the MTV Music Awards back in 2000 in New York City.
And to make things even more complicated, the judge has stated that this anonymity might not be permanent. As the case progresses, things could change, depending on what information needs to come out for a fair trial.
Wait a minute, though. If her story has inconsistencies, how strong is her case really? Could these inconsistencies actually end up hurting her more than helping?
That's the big question, isn't it? Jay-Z's lawyer, Alex Spiro, he's definitely focusing on those inconsistencies. He's trying to get the case dismissed before it even really starts. He's arguing that her claims simply don't add up. Like, she said she watched the award show on a Jumbotron, but one didn't even exist back then.
Okay, so that's a point for Spiro. But what about her dad? He said he doesn't remember picking her up in New York after the alleged assault. Wouldn't that actually support her side of the story?
Well, that's where things get a little tricky. You'd think so, right? But the plaintiff herself has admitted there are some inaccuracies in her account, but the details of those haven't been revealed yet. So we're left wondering what exactly she got wrong and how much damage those inconsistencies could do.
It's like a legal cliffhanger. We know something's off, but we don't know what. And the judge is giving Spiro a hard time as well. She even criticized his tactics, calling them combative. And she said he's using inflammatory language.
Yeah, the judge is not messing around. Inflammatory language means he's choosing words specifically to provoke a reaction, maybe even trying to sway public opinion. And the judge is having none of it. It's like a scene straight out of a courtroom drama. Spiro even demanded a hearing the very next day. Talk about aggressive.
So while the judge is dealing with this whole anonymity issue, Jay-Z's lawyer is going on the offensive. But remember, this isn't the first time Diddy has faced accusations like this.
That's right. This isn't just some isolated incident. Diddy's actually facing a wave of similar lawsuits, and a lot of them are being handled by the same lawyer representing the woman, in this case, Tony Busby.
Okay, so this Busby guy seems to be everywhere. What's his story? He must have a reputation for taking on cases like this.
Busby's a high-profile lawyer from Texas, and he claims that his firm represents over 150 people who say they were sexually abused and exploited by Diddy. These lawsuits are pretty disturbing. They allege that many individuals were abused at parties in New York, California, and Florida after being given drinks laced with drugs.
Wow, if those allegations are true, that's a whole other level of messed up. What's Diddy saying about all of this? He can't just stay silent.
Well, Diddy's lawyers are definitely fighting back. They're calling Busby's lawsuits shameless publicity stunts, and they're saying that he's just trying to shake down celebrities for money. It's a classic he said, she said situation, each side accusing the other of playing dirty.
And Jay-Z isn't just sitting back and watching all of this, is he? I mean, he's caught up in this whole thing, too.
You're right. He's not. Jay-Z actually accused Busby of blackmail. He's saying that the lawyer is trying to force a settlement in this case. So you've got these accusations against Diddy, a separate but related lawsuit against Jay-Z, and a lawyer who's representing multiple accusers and facing accusations of his own. It's a real tangled web.
It does sound like something out of a movie. But let's take a step back for a second. What does all of this mean for the music industry as a whole, and for holding powerful people accountable?
That's a really important question. This case highlights the challenges of getting justice, especially in cases where there are conflicting stories and famous people involved. The public attention can be intense, and it's tough to figure out what's true and what's not.
We also can't forget about the impact on the #MeToo movement. Does letting accusers stay anonymous make it more likely for others to come forward? Or could it actually make it easier for false accusations to happen?
It's a tricky balance, and there are strong arguments on both sides. On the one hand, anonymity can protect accusers from backlash and public humiliation, which can be really empowering. But then again, some argue that anonymity can make it difficult for the accused to properly defend themselves.
It's a tough decision for sure. And we have to remember that these are just accusations at this point. Nothing has been proven in court.
You're absolutely right. Everyone involved deserves a fair hearing, and the truth needs to come out. But the process of getting there can be messy and complicated. As we're seeing in this case.
So where do we go from here? What are some things our listeners should keep in mind as they try to understand all of this? So we've heard the accusations and the legal strategies and all this controversy, but what does it all actually mean for you, the listener?
Well, this deep dive has really brought to light a lot more than just a legal battle. It's really shown us the complicated power dynamics at play and the challenges of seeking justice in these high-profile cases, and of course the ongoing debate about how to handle accusations in the #MeToo era.
Right. We're seeing this clash of celebrity and legal maneuvering and the search for the truth all happening very publicly. It's not just about Jay-Z and Diddy. It's about the system as a whole trying to grapple with these really sensitive issues.
Yeah, and you have to think about it. This case could set a precedent for how future accusations against powerful people are handled. Will we see more anonymity? Will it encourage more victims to come forward, or will it raise concerns about due process?
And what about how the public sees all of this? I mean, when you have conflicting accounts and accusations flying around, it can be tough for people to figure out what to believe.
That's the risk with these high-profile cases. It's easy to get caught up in the drama and the headlines. But we can't forget that there are real people involved here, and their lives are being deeply affected by all of this.
This isn't just some Hollywood gossip. This is about finding the truth and holding people accountable. It's about navigating a legal system that's trying to protect victims while also making sure the accused get a fair chance.
And it's about acknowledging that this case, like many others, is part of a much bigger conversation about power and consent and the long-lasting effects of trauma.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with more questions than answers. But I guess that's the whole point, isn't it? This case shows us that these issues are complicated and there are no easy answers.
Absolutely. It's a reminder for all of us to have thoughtful conversations, to question our own assumptions, and to keep pushing for a more just and equitable world.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into this really complex case. We'll be keeping a close eye on any new developments, and we encourage you to do the same. Stay informed, stay engaged, and keep asking those important questions.
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have a ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup. You're Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.